live taping that's happening this Thursday, October 5th with Barry Brewer Jr. It's going to be a great, great, great night. And we are going to do it again tomorrow, all over again. And I'm looking forward to it. You already know who's up next. He is going to bring the fire, as he always does. Zoe Williams with the voice of reason. You guys, I'm Robin Ayers. Truly appreciate you all. And remember, today and every day forward, to be a blessing.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Maryland Senate President Bill Ferguson is reacting to Tuesday night's shooting on the campus of HBCU Morgan State University in Baltimore. Ferguson says the repetition of these horrific events is about one thing: easy access to guns, and that things like this don't happen at the same rate in places where guns aren't immediately available. Cell phones across the country will be getting an emergency alert today. The federal government is conducting a nationwide test of the emergency alert system this afternoon. FEMA and the FCC are running the test to make sure the alert system is running smoothly in case Americans are threatened by natural disasters, terrorism, or other emergencies. The jolting sound should start hitting phones around 2:20 p.m. That's Eastern Time. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Hey, if you're thinking of getting the latest iPhone, you need to stop and check out the amazing wireless offer from Boost Infinite. For more, just pick up your phone and dial pound 250 and say Boost Infinite. That's pound 250 and Boost Infinite. You'll have the option to receive a one-time auto-dialed text message from this station.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Philadelphia 76ers are expecting James Harden to show up at training camp sometime today. Harden skipped media day on Monday and the first day of training camp on Tuesday. Harden is still trying to get the Sixers to trade him to the Clippers. The two teams have not had any significant talks regarding the seven-time All-Star, which means Harden may have to suck it up and stay with the Sixers. The Sixers can fine him for each day he fails to report. Harden will make $32.9 million this season. As much as Harden wants out of Philadelphia, he doesn't want to lose his money. The NBA has already hit him for $100,000 for missing media day. The Dodgers might know today who they'll play in the playoffs. If Arizona beats Milwaukee today, the Dodgers and Arizona will start their best-of-5 series on Saturday here in L.A. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
On Monday, October 9th, don't miss the KBLA Talk 1580 exclusive. The tape. 1 year later.
Y'all were coming for us.
Yeah, but Tavis, that's not in my heart. I wasn't coming for anyone like that. I apologize, but that was not me. That's not in my heart. And like I said a few moments ago, I have a solid, demonstrable record of shared power that's real and concrete. That can't be misinterpreted.
Join Tavis Smiley and an all-star panel of political insiders, influencers, and journalists for a look back at the crisis that shook LA City Hall when 4 Latino leaders were caught on tape making racist, demeaning, and derogatory statements about black people and other fellow citizens. On Monday, October 9th, exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580, The Tape. 1 year later. We'll broadcast live an afternoon drive from 5 to 7 p.m. with an immediate encore presentation from 7 to 9 p.m. When all was said and done, was more said than done. 1 year later. Are there fractures in LA's black-brown political partnership? And where do we go from here? Don't miss The Tape. 1 year later. Only on KBLA Talk 1580. Monday, October 9th. Live from 5 to 7 p.m. with an immediate encore presentation from 7 to 9 p.m. We've got a lot to talk about.
First things first.
things first, it's the DU General, Money B. I'ma put you up on the schedule, 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not 2 and 7. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of black talk radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis.
Good morning, good morning. As you might notice, very soon into me speaking, this is not Dominique DiPrima, this is Avi Bernard in for Dominique DiPrima today, who almost never takes a day off, so I'm glad to be able to help her out in that way whenever I can. This is First Things First, and we have quite a jam-packed show for you today. In the 8 p.m. hour, we have Sahara Ali. She is going to be giving you readings, so if you want to get an in-depth look at your numbers, as they say. She's a numerologist. She'll listen to your birthday. You'll tell her your birthday, and she will give you a reading about what's going on in your life. And she is actually very accurate. The first time she gave me a reading, I had never met her before. I did not ask for the reading. I was just walking her to her car as a courtesy, and she asked me what my birthday was, and I started telling her, I told her what my birthday was, and she started telling me about things that there's no way she could have known. And so she's very good. That's coming up in the 8 a.m. hour. In the 7 a.m. hour, Keith Underwood is going to be joining us. And right now, we are joined by none other than the host of The Backstory right here Saturdays on KBLA at 1 p.m., Michelle Duffy. Michelle, how are you this morning?
I am absolutely fantastic.
It is so good to see you.
Well, thank you so much. It's good to be here and good to be seen, right?
That's right. It is always good to be seen. We are, of course, seen because we're live on YouTube. Yeah. Thank you if you're listening on 1580 AM here in Los Angeles or via the free KBLA app or live on YouTube. You can see this all unfold live on YouTube.
Hey, everybody watching
every morning
and listening.
So we have a lot to talk about today. There's always a lot going on in the news. Just a lot happened just yesterday with the speakership of the United States Senate. This is the first time that a speaker has ever been voted out of that position. Yeah. And it's Kevin McCarthy, who is, to a lot of people, he seems like a moderate. He seems like a more decent type of version of the modern Republican, but he's actually not. He always does what the hard right wants him to do, and he did that in part because he put himself in this position where
that's right.
He allowed any one member of the House to call for a motion to vacate. And so they did call for a motion to vacate after he avoided the shutdown Saturday. There was this big looming shutdown fight. It looked like there was going to be a shutdown, and then Kevin McCarthy unexpectedly worked with the Democrats. And, of course, that is the cardinal sin for modern Republicans is you better not do anything with Democrats, even if it's good for the country, because then we will disown you. And that's what they did. And now Kevin McCarthy says he is not going to run for speaker again. And
I mean, he shouldn't. It took him, 15 votes to get in there?
It did
in
take
4
him 15
days?
votes,
Come on now. We don't have that kind of time.
Right. Well, we as Democrats do have the time because it is delicious to see.
I mean, the country to watch the fiasco of that a second time.
Right. No, I absolutely hear what you're saying. But it's remarkable because now that he's not going to be running, they don't have anyone else who's better. Their party is such a disaster, and it's such a... Okay, so I have a tier of circuses, right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
So the crazier it is, the more rings circus it is. Okay, so there's a 3, a 5, a 7, and a 9.
Okay.
So a 3-ring circus is not that much of a circus, right? It's just, things are a little crazy. It's a 3-ring circus.
Okay.
You have a 5-ring circus, and things are escalating.
Okay.
Things are getting more clownish. You have a 7-ring circus, which is obviously you're getting up there towards the absurd.
Okay.
And then you have a 9-ring circus,
Oh, wow.
which is just the absolute craziest you can imagine. These people don't make any sense. I don't even know what's happening. And then you also have within the rings, you have tiers within those. You have a low 3 or a high 3, a low 5 ring circus or a high 5,
Wow.
and so forth. So the Republican Party right now is a high 9 ring circus. And they don't know what they're doing. They can't govern. They always want to be in power, but once they get in power, they don't know what to do with it. And it is absolutely I don't want to say it's good, but it is absolutely illuminating because the more that they show how they are when they have the power, the more that the average person will hopefully see that they don't need to be in power.
Yeah, exactly. That this is a broken party and they have no idea what they're doing. And the other thing that they do as a 9-tier circus is they piss people off, and they really turn people away from wanting to be a part of their party. And what they don't understand about why they keep losing is nobody's getting with them. We're getting with the circus that they are, right? And so instead of taking the temperature of the country, of the country's constituents, and saying, what can we do better to be more embracing of a more diverse America, they cheat. And at this point, all they have in their circus playbook is cheating, because they refuse to read the temperature of the country and do something different.
Right, and how they cheat is by gerrymandering.
Yeah.
And they try to exclude people from voting. They try to change the rules.
Yeah.
When they do lose, as they did the governorship in Wisconsin, they take the power away from the incoming Democrat. So they are always trying to find ways to hold on to power at all costs, as you said, Michelle. And it's really this is something that they have done to themselves. This current situation. And you have a clown as the head of your party, then you're going to get a circus.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump is the lead clown.
Yeah.
And speaking of Donald Trump, he has one of his many court cases happening now. It's a civil case in which Tish James is trying to get $250 million, a $250 million settlement against him, in which he could end up losing his apartment in Trump Tower in New York, other properties, including Mar-a-Lago. That would be at the extreme end. It's obviously far from guaranteed that will happen, but these are just possibilities. And Trump has for a long time said he's worth more than he actually is.
Yeah.
And people call him a billionaire. I for a long time have thought he's not actually a billionaire. And so what he would do, and why this case is being brought against him, is because this is a case of alleged business fraud.
Right.
And it's not even alleged anymore, because the judge said...
The judge has declared.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you lied, buddy. Over and over and over again, indisputably, you lied. You misrepresented your income, your company's value, et cetera, and you did, in fact, inflate your worth to get properties, and then when it came time to pay taxes, you deflated, and that is against the law, sir. And nobody's above the law. And what I love most, Avi, is that these cases are showing that nobody is above the law, including Donald Trump, the guy who said, I can stand on the corner and shoot somebody and I'll never get arrested. Well, buddy, you've been arrested 4 times. How about that? So much for I'll never been arrested. Never be arrested.
Yeah, I think it is a positive step towards. It's a positive step towards no one being above the law. But he's been above the law for so long. This should have happened a long time ago. And as you said, Michelle, he would change the value of his property depending on who he was sending the valuation to. So if he's trying to get a loan, then he'll inflate the proposed value of his property. Yeah. And if he is paying taxes, he'll say it's worth less.
Right.
Same property.
Right.
And he'll also, not only will he change the valuation, he'll change the size. He'll lie about the square footage of his properties. And so he was doing this for so long, and we've heard so much about his shady business practices, not paying people, lying, going into bankruptcy so many times. And it's just, this is about time. And the judge said, we don't even have to go to trial because the evidence is so clear. It's so open and shut that we don't even have to go to trial.
And the judge is like, listen, y'all, we're not trying what I decided over again. We're moving forward with the decisions I've already made, right? Because his attorneys are trying to try the case all over based on what they feel should be happening now. No, you're a little bit too late. Mm-hmm. This is where we are, and this is what you want to defend. So I just love, this is what I love, Avi. I love the fact that a guy who has walked around lying for decades is being held accountable to some extent. Now, I'd love to see the day come when he is locked away. Some people think that's going to happen. Some people don't think that's going to happen. In any case, I love that he's being inconvenienced to the extent that these court cases are there. He goes to court. He has to show up and turn himself in when he's indicted. I still love that because it's an inconvenience for him. Now, what's so sick to me is that at every turn, he says, oh, this is so rigged. Oh, I'm always the victim. Everybody's coming after me, as if all of these people across the country in these judicial systems are wrong. Like it only is everybody else's problem and not his problem, when in fact he's the guy that's being found guilty over and over and over again.
This is someone who has never taken accountability for anything.
Yeah.
It's always somebody else's fault.
Yeah.
He's always the victim. Despite, as I've said many times, he's someone who was born on third base and thinks he hit a triple. He's gotten everything his whole life. He is the national emblem of white privilege, in my opinion, because he just, no matter what he does, he continues to fall up. And we're going to step aside for a brief moment, but when we come forward, there's some more we need to get to. I do want to talk about your show.
Yes.
You're getting ready to have your 100th episode this Saturday.
I am.
It's a very big deal.
Yes.
It's a very big accomplishment. So I want to talk about that a little bit later in the hour.
Okay.
But also your alma mater, Morgan State.
Morgan State University.
There was a mass shooting there last night. It was a little bit different. Thankfully, nobody was killed.
Right.
But it's a remarkable situation that we're going to talk about. And also want to touch briefly on LaFonza Butler being appointed to Dianne Feinstein's U.S. Senate seat, the California Senate seat.
You got it.
So when we come forward, we're going to talk about all those things right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
At City National, we listen to you.
I want to expand my business and my legacy.
I want to set up the next generation for success.
I want to see my vision come to life.
I want to feel right at home. Your goals, passions, vision, future. We want to hear it and work alongside you to achieve it. Visit cnb.com to learn more. City National Bank. Here for our clients and communities.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be a sign that your digestive system isn't working at its best? Taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil fiber powders help promote your daily digestive health using a plant-based fiber called psyllium. The gelling action of this special fiber traps and removes waste so you can feel lighter and more energetic. Metamucil, promoting digestive health for a better you. Learn more at metamucil.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
What makes Taco Bell's rolled chicken tacos so good? Is it the shredded, marinated, all-white meat chicken? Well, yeah, obviously. But it's also the 3 amazing dipping sauces to choose from. Spicy ranch, warm nacho cheese sauce, and house-made daily guacamole. Now, if you need a third reason, their white corn tortillas are fried to golden perfection, which everyone knows is the best kind of perfection. Order rolled chicken tacos on the Taco Bell app. Get 1 dip for 2-pack or 2 dips for 4-pack at participating Taco Bell stores for a limited time only while supplies last.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look. And unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So, let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California, once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at a gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event. Or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
It's Avi Bernard in for Dominique DiPrima this morning. First things first. So I'm here with Michelle Duffy, host of the Backstory Saturdays here on KBLA at 1 p.m. So, Michelle, you asked me during the break, and we were talking about Donald Trump earlier. You asked me if these gag orders matter. And so there has been one gag order issued in this civil trial because why was the gag order issued? Because Trump is at the courthouse and he is talking about the court clerks, saying that this female court clerk
could be girlfriend, boyfriend.
Yeah, and he said he makes these things up just because there is a photo of her with him.
Right.
And how many people have U.S. senators taken photos with? It's not like there's a lot of photos with them. There's a photo with this woman and U.S.
But can we also talk about the photos of him and women where he denied even knowing the woman, much less the accusation that he was in a relationship with him? So how is it that you can be in a photo with the woman and you don't even know her, but Chuck Schumer could be in a photo with this woman and they all of a sudden have to be an intimate couple? Like, come on now.
Exactly.
Really?
So will the gag orders matter? They might. And the judge in this case said that if he breaks the gag order, then it will lead to quote unquote serious sanctions.
Like, what does that mean?
What does that mean?
Yeah.
So that's the question. What do those serious sanctions mean? I just think the best way is to speed these trials up, get these judgments on the way. I think he's going to be found guilty in at least one of these cases, and that will seriously hurt his election prospects. So hurry up and let's get to that. That's the best way to hit him.
Can I add, this is what I was saying to you during the break. The thing that I don't think is talked about enough is we talk a lot about how much money Trump raises whenever his mugshot is shown or in terms of the gag order, and as you said, that they're taking away his Second Amendment right. But what we don't talk enough about is that this mega group, these extremists, they don't represent the majority of the Republican Party. Yes, they are many, but they don't represent the majority of the Republican Party. And here's why I say that. If they did, he would have won the last election. There are enough Republicans, to me, that are not in lockstep with him, that are not interested in seeing Trump succeed. Now, does the ones who are in lockstep with him hurt? Sure, they hurt the country, but there are not enough of them to, I won't say to matter. I don't know what the word is I'm searching for right now, but I don't like the way we inflate the support that he has.
Well, I would say I don't know if I agree with you on that one, because I think the majority of the Republican Party is MAGA now, because they have been at the very least complicit in this, and they've allowed this to happen.
If we go by complicit, okay,
and he does have a vast majority of support in the Republican Party. I think it's dropped a little bit. I'm not sure what the last I heard was, maybe 75%. But even with that number, they always come around to vote for him anyway. So he didn't lose the last election because he doesn't have enough support in the Republican Party. He lost the last election because enough other people who are not Republicans recognize that he's a clown and that he's insane.
Okay,
and that
I'll take that. And to your point, I will concede and say that you make a great point. But I often think that we get scared when we hear about the support that Donald Trump has. And to your point, I'm happy that the majority of the population in America are not interested in supporting anything that looks like Donald Trump and his cronies.
Yeah, and now with that being said, the polls are showing him and President Biden neck and neck in the 2024 election. So we can't take anything for granted.
But did we not have that the last time? Were they not neck and neck? Were they not really close the last time?
Well, the polls have not been accurate for a while now.
Yes.
But Biden was leading by several points. But the way that the Electoral College is structured is that in a few swing states, it's 10,000 votes here, 20,000 votes there. It's probably less than 100,000 people in a few states who are going to decide this election.
Yeah.
Well, and so that's the problem, is that even though there may be 7 or 10 million more Americans nationwide who are more in favor of Biden keeping his job, there are the states in the Electoral College.
What are your thoughts? Do you think he should keep his job? Do you think he should even run again?
Absolutely. It's too late not to. Whether he should have run from the beginning, whether he should have stepped aside earlier, that's a different conversation that I think we can have. And maybe he should have been like a one-term president, kind of a transitional president, perhaps. And maybe we could have had someone else step in and run. But right now it's too late because the primary is in about 4 months. The convention's in about 4 or 5 months.
This is true.
And so if someone was going to come in now, they have to have that little bit of time to raise money, get their name out there, do all this, and it's just too late. And so right now, Biden is who we have. And I think he's done a great job. The only question is about his age.
Yeah.
That's the only question. He's done a great job in the office. So he needs to be the nominee. He's going to be the nominee, but he needs to get the support of Democrats around the country, because otherwise, I mean, honestly, if you've heard the things that Donald Trump has been saying just this week, all of the both parties are the same nonsense, you can completely put that to bed.
Yeah.
He said that, and this is right out of his mouth. He said that shoplifters, they should be shot as they leave the store. That no going to trial, no due process. You're shoplifting, you should be shot as they leave the store, and that's what he will try to accomplish if he gets back in office. That's just one of the things.
Right.
And so,
but he's so outrageous. He's always outrageous in the things that he says and does. It's just, who wants somebody like that representing their country?
It's really crazy, but
It's
a lot
crazy.
of people do.
It's absolutely crazy. Yeah.
But let's talk about LaFonza Butler. She has been nominated by Gavin Newsom to replace Dianne Feinstein. And she is going to take that seat for about a year.
Is it a year? A year and a half?
A little over a year.
Like that?
And here's the thing that's somewhat controversial about this. I think it was a great pick. However, the problem is Gavin Newsom promised to fill that seat with a black woman, because when Kamala Harris became vice president and her seat was vacated, he didn't replace her with a black woman, and a lot of people didn't like that. Alex Padilla became California's first Latino senator, which is a great thing. But I understand if a black woman leaves the Senate, there already are very few black women. She was the only one, I believe, at the time, and so we wanted her to replace him, wanted him to replace her with another black senator, a black woman senator, and so that's what he's saying he's going to do now, and that's what he's done. But the problem is Barbara Lee is running for that seat, longtime California congresswoman is running for that seat, very qualified, very logical choice. But he felt, and I'm sure the others in the race, Adam Schiff and Katie Porter, the other two major Democrats in the race, felt that if he did that, he would be putting his thumb on the scale for Barbara Lee, and it wouldn't be fair to them. I'm not sure I buy into that.
Do we think that LaFonza Butler is going to run for the seat, or do you think she would just kind of step aside so that Barbara Lee can?
Now, that's an unknown question.
Yeah.
That is still to be determined. And this was supposed to be a caretaker who he was going to appoint, who was not going to run. That was the idea that he had. That's what he wanted. But he can't mandate that.
Right.
Did he get assurances from her that she wouldn't run? We don't know that.
Right.
And
she hasn't said one way or another.
She has not, but I think it's probably too early for her to say that. And also, she also would not have a lot of time to get her campaign together. But with her already being in that seat, it would give her a huge head start.
But she also has her hands full with Emily List as the president, right? So hopefully,
not anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that she's completely devoid of those responsibilities now, but I'm sure that now she'll focus on being a senator. And if she was going to run, she would, I'm sure, just delegate that responsibility to somebody else, or step aside from that position.
Yeah, that's interesting. That is very interesting how that could all play out. I would like to see her consider, going back to Emily's List and allowing Barbara Lee to have that opportunity, but
she might. She very well might do that.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing. We don't know yet. She was just appointed this week.
Because it wasn't something she was after. The seat. It wasn't
Doesn't
something
seem
she
like
was
it.
after.
She's been an activist for a long time. Getting
and she's done
Democrats
a lot.
elected. Yeah, she absolutely deserves this appointment.
Mm-hmm.
The question is whether she'll run, and we just don't know yet. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. It's an appointment that I think Gavin Newsom, with the mess that he got himself in, this was the best option. And so we'll see going forward if it gets any easier for him with the decision she makes, whether she decides to run or not to run.
Yeah.
We shall see. When we come forward, though, we are going to talk about the shooting at Morgan State last night. 5 people were injured, and they don't know who the shooter was yet.
Well, not yet. Still have not.
As of this morning,
shooter. Right.
No one's even in custody. No, no suspects.
Right.
That's remarkable. It's not usually how these mass shootings go. And because there's no
suspect, we also don't know motive for it happening. We just see another sad incidence of mass shooting happening here in our country.
Yeah, and it's at a black college, which is always distressing.
Yeah.
And so we don't know at this point if it was one of the students, if it was some white person who was trying to commit a hate crime.
And you know what's sad is they are right on the brink of this weekend is homecoming. Morgan, as you said a moment ago, is my alma mater. I grew up 2 blocks from Morgan. Baltimore is home for me. So this really hits home, for me. And just seeing this happening in Baltimore and crime, period, is always a big deal. And a lot has been going on with respect to the number of shootings and killings in Baltimore and the murders in Baltimore. So this just really makes me sad to see.
And we're going to talk all about it right after this. Do we do news this early, Miles? Yeah, all right. News, traffic, and sports update. Right after this, we'll get into that conversation right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Welcome to our Wednesday. It's October 4th. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. An election for the new Speaker of the House is set to be held next Wednesday. Members leading the House GOP conference meeting said a candidate forum for Speaker will be held next Tuesday, with the election held the following day. The House of Representatives will be in recess until next week. Kevin McCarthy says he won't run again following the chamber's decision to vote him out of his position in an historic vote forced by Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz. African-American Michael Jordan continues to make history. The Bulls legend has officially joined the Forbes 400, making him the first professional athlete to rank among America's wealthiest individuals. Michael Jordan has an estimated net worth of $3 billion. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Hey, if you're thinking of getting the latest iPhone, you need to stop and check out the amazing wireless offer from Boost Infinite. For more, just pick up your phone and dial pound 250 and say Boost Infinite. That's pound 250 and Boost Infinite. You'll have the option to receive a one-time auto-dialed text message from this station.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Philadelphia 76ers are expecting James Harden to show up at training camp sometime today. Harden skipped media day on Monday and the first day of training camp on Tuesday. Harden is still trying to get the Sixers to trade him to the Clippers. The two teams have not had any significant talks regarding the 7-time All-Star, which means Harden may have to suck it up and stay with the Sixers. The Sixers can fine him for each day he fails to report. Harden will make $32.9 million this season. As much as Harden wants out of Philadelphia, he doesn't want to lose his money. The NBA has already hit him for $100,000 for missing media day. The Dodgers might know today who they'll play in the playoffs. If Arizona beats Milwaukee today, the Dodgers and Arizona will start their best-of-5 series on Saturday here in L.A. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
That's what we were taught, service before self.
But we do have one question for the veterans listening.
When was the last time you reached out for help?
If you or someone you know needs resources, whether it's for stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out.
Find more information at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Hey, everything okay?
Yes, I'm fine.
Honey. Hey, I'm here for you. Tell me about school today.
When kids can't find the right words, music can help them sound it out.
Talk to the kids in your life about their emotional well-being. Find tools and resources at soundidouttogether.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Pivotal Ventures.
We boldly go where no man has gone before.
Boldly taking talk radio where it has never gone before. New vistas, new voices, new views, new visions, new victories. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're taking public media black.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Back on First Things First with Avi Bernard in for Dominique DiPrima. I am joined by Michelle Duffy. Michelle, so glad to have you here. Appreciate you coming, especially live in studio. It's always good to talk to someone face to face whenever possible. So we're talking about a lot of things this morning. We do have a lot to talk about as usual.
Yeah.
But right now, I wanted to get to the mass shooting at Morgan State last night. Details are still coming in.
Right.
But there were 5 people injured, 4 students. I'm not sure who the other person was, but it was at it was outside of a crowded homecoming event, and the SWAT team came into a dorm to hunt for suspects, which they did not find. They did not find a suspect. And so this is, I think, at least the 531st mass shooting this year. This year. So.
And we're only in October.
We're only in October. So if we do a little quick math, right? Let's say that there's 30 days a month. This is the 10th month. This month just started, so really 9 months have passed. So 9 times 30, that's about 270. So 270 days, and over 530, you're at an average of close to 2 per day nationwide, which is wild. And a mass shooting is defined as an incident where at least 4 people are shot in the same event, and not including the shooter.
Right.
So that is just, and a lot of times these happen at schools, at high schools, at colleges, sadly at
churches,
at middle schools and elementary schools. Just if we're just talking about schools, but churches, synagogues, places of worship.
We've even
mosques,
seen them in department
supermarkets,
stores, markets, all
Walmart,
of that.
Top supermarket in Buffalo, and it's just and this is one of the reasons why for
clubs, right? Clubs, we had one of clubs, concerts.
That's right, Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's like where can you
nightclub
go
in
and
Orlando.
Feel safe?
Exactly, and that's the thing. There's nowhere you can go.
Right.
And so this is the thing that has me worried about. My son is turning 2 this month, and has me worried about when he goes to school.
Yeah.
Do I want to homeschool him just because of this? I don't want to homeschool him. I want him to go to school and get that experience and get that socialization. But this is something that has me really worried.
Yeah. I saw on the news after another mass shooting where they literally were doing a drill with some high school students about, walking through an active shooting. And then I saw another instance where they had an elementary school and they were showing young kids, kindergarten, 3rd, 4th grade, how to hide under desks, all of these things. And I'm thinking, you would have thought, Avi, that this is the last thing in the world our children would have to contend with as they're going to get an education. I think about myself in elementary school, and we were so busy having so much fun, and there was so much innocence associated with just being able to go to school. And kids have now been robbed of that. They've really, on every level, they've been robbed of that. Who wants to send their kid off to college only to lose them to a mass shooting?
And this is all thanks to the quote-unquote pro-life party, because they care more about guns and getting money from the gun lobby.
That's right.
Than putting effective gun legislation in place. They would rather have our kids doing mass active shooter drills from the time that they're 4 or 5 years old through all the way through the end of their schooling in high school and college, rather than just put some effective gun legislation in place.
Yeah.
They don't. This is not the pro-life party. Don't let them tell you that they're the pro-life party. They're the pro-birth party. Once someone is born, there you go, off into the world. We don't care what happens to you.
Right. Whatever happens to you, good luck.
Pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Right. Even if you don't have boots. One of the things that I think is really sad, as I was reading about Morgan, it said that the shootings falls days before a scheduled candlelight memorial service intended to honor university members who have died over the past year. Days before, And the prayer is that Morgan has a safe and successful homecoming this weekend. Because I'm sure people are alarmed and on alert as a result of this. But as I was saying before the break, there's been such an uptick of shootings and killings in Baltimore, Maryland. And it grieves me, because that's my hometown. It grieves me to see that the leadership can't get their hand around what is going on in the city. And my heart goes out to Mayor Brandon Scott and what he's trying to do there in terms of turning things around and making the city safer and getting people working, because we know that when people feel impoverished and deprived, it creates space for these kinds of things. So just praying for that city and the people who are calling the shots, and hoping that something turns around. But most importantly, in this instance, I hope they catch the shooter soon before they're able to do any more damage. And really, really grateful that not only was nobody killed, but nobody was even critically wounded, right?
Yeah, that's
a blessing.
The victims were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries.
Yeah.
But we do have to outline that it's not just on Mayor Brandon Scott to get this under control.
Absolutely.
Because even if you are a state that has strict gun laws like Illinois, you have neighboring states that bring guns in, like Indiana brings into Illinois, and they want to blame Chicago for all these problems, all these guns. They're coming from Indiana, a state that doesn't have strict gun laws. And so we need national gun legislation, because this is not something that can or should be decided by the states.
And to your point, Mayor Brandon Scott spoke to that, because they had another mass shooting over the summer. I think it was a block party. Baltimore had another mass shooting, and he spoke to the fact that he wanted to hold accountable people on the national level who were allowing, because of the laws, easy access to guns. And he wanted to just unpack this to the extent of how did the guns get into Baltimore and why are they getting in such rapid ways. So
and so my friends listening, if you're listening to this and you hear the talking points that Republicans say all the time, the black cities are where all the violence is, the Democrat-led cities are where all the violence is. Where are those guns coming from? We do have better gun laws in blue cities and states, but the red cities and states are sending their guns over. And so that's where the guns are coming from. So if y'all get y'all's house in order, we'll all be better
because
for it.
Boo Boo and Troy on the street, they are not the people where the guns are coming from. They're getting them from someone, right? That the access that they have is the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to mention that because a lot of times people hear that, and we hear that all the time from Republicans. They drill it into our heads. It's black people's fault. It's Democrats' fault. It happens in blue cities, but you have to understand why it happens and where those guns come from.
And you also we also identify the fact that the majority of mass shootings are done by white men.
That's right.
So let's be clear about that.
Well, absolutely, we're talking about mass shootings, but they try to
but that's what I'm saying. They try to spin it, and
exactly.
make us. Don't look at what your eyes see. Listen to what we're saying, even though what they're saying is a misrepresentation of the truth.
Yeah, you got to look at the facts and really break things down and understand how these things happen. So I just wanted to bring that up. But this is the at least 17th mass shooting at a United States college or university so far this year, including North Carolina, Oklahoma, and Michigan. So all over the country. You never know where it's going to strike. Happen. And sure, you may say, well, yeah, these happen twice a day, but it's a big country. There are a lot of schools. But do you really want to take that chance? Do you want to take that chance with yourself or your family, your kids? I don't.
Right.
So I don't. The lack of movement on this issue is so infuriating to me.
What do you think it's going to take for the Republicans to see this as the crisis that it is?
I don't know, because it didn't happen after Sandy Hook, after all those little kids were killed, after Uvalde. There was in Texas that mass shooting at that school.
Exactly.
That there was some progress made, which is slightly encouraging, but not anywhere near
what's necessary.
what should be done and what should have been done a long time ago. So what will it take to make Republicans? I don't know. Only thing that I'll tell you what. The only thing that will make them understand that this needs to happen is people voting them out. Them losing power. That's the only thing they understand is power and money.
I like that.
And so if people vote them out, they will start to understand that they need to do more on this issue. That's the only way, because they don't care about life.
Yeah.
The pro-life party does not care about life.
Yeah.
They care about money and power. And so
sadly enough.
And so at Morgan State, classes were canceled today, and counselors will be available. And it's that I hope that they find a resolution. They find the perpetrator of this as soon as possible.
I wonder, will it impact homecoming's attendance? It's that's
a good
a
question.
thought that I have, because it's a big deal. Homecoming is a big deal at most universities, but I've been to Morgan's homecoming several times. Again, that's my alma mater. So it'll be interesting to see if it at all impacts homecoming, any of the activities or the attendance.
It's a good question, and there was a racist mass shooting in Jacksonville recently, where the shooter was trying to get into an HBCU to commit the crime, and they didn't let him in, and so he ended up going to a store instead and doing the shooting there, and he just wanted to kill some black people. He had a swastika on his gun, all that, and so will it affect attendance? It might, because this is not an isolated incident, and people and these white supremacists are now actively trying to seek out black areas and black events to go commit these hate crimes. When we come forward, we're going to turn the page to something a little more cheerful.
Okay.
A little less depressing, and we'll talk about your show, the backstory, and the 100th episode.
Yeah, I like cheerful.
Yes, and I can see it in your demeanor, and that's why it's nice to have you here in person. So we're going to talk about the 100th episode of the backstory here on KBLA when we come forward right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Awesome.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
You are now in Big Tobacco's fantasy land. Welcome. It's a healthier world where they want you to believe that vaping makes quitting cigarettes a breeze. Never mind the evidence that vaping leads to using both. And if you're younger, even better, teens who vape are 3 times likelier to use cigarettes. In Big Tobacco's fantasy land, the deadliest industry is your friend.
Big Tobacco's idea of smoke-free is a dangerous fantasy for us all. See reality at undo.org.
The Los Angeles Urban League helps African American and others in underserved communities achieve true social parity, economic self-reliance, and civil rights. For over 100 years, Los Angeles Urban League has ensured our communities have access to careers with living wages, opportunities to start and grow businesses, and clear pathways to personal and professional growth. Programs like BizCamp, Construction Career Academy, Bob Business Ready, and B-Warp. The Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Program are examples of the ongoing events designed to make our centennial mission to rebuild Black Wall Street right here in LA a reality. To sign up for our newsletter or to support the Los Angeles Urban League with your time, talent, and donations, visit laul.org. That's laul.org. The Los Angeles Urban League is a proud sponsor of Urban Family Focus, Saturdays at 7 a.m. on KBLA Talk 1580.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Klein tools are new at Lowe's, pros. Lowe's knows you want top brands and quality products, and Klein Tools delivers. Right now, get the Klein 3-piece Modbox mobile workstation for $319.94 and the Klein 5-piece cushion grip screwdriver set for just $34.97, both exclusively at Lowe's. Shop the largest selection of Klein tools, the highest quality tool brand at Lowe's. Because Lowe's knows tools, Lowe's knows pros.
To some, this might sound like a typical family dog. But at Dog Chow, we know that for a veteran suffering from PTSD, this could be the sound of life-saving therapy.
Thanks, Betty.
That's why we've made it our mission to connect every military hero in need with a canine hero of their own. To learn about the simple ways you can help Dog Chow in our mission, visit dogchow.com/veterans.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. This is your dentist. Do me a favor and feel the front of your teeth. How grimy are they?
Ugh.
It's time for a Crest Pro Health reality checkup. That grime is the buildup of plaque bacteria that can cause cavities in just months. You need to switch to Crest Pro Health. While most toothpaste stop working in minutes, Crest Pro Health's antibacterial fluoride protects for up to 12 hours to stop cavities before they start. So pick some up on the way home. Smile. Crest has you covered.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
We are never afraid to say what we see here on KBLA Talk 1580, or as I like to call it sometimes, K-Black. It's Avi Bernard in for Dominique DiPrima this morning on First Things First. We are talking to Michelle Duffy, and before we run out of time, I want to talk about your show, The Backstory.
Yes.
And so for our audience here on First Things First, who may not have heard your show, it's early in the morning. Maybe some people only listen in the morning, some people only listen at night. You know, we gotta want to just plug them in. So what your show is about?
Sure. So The Backstory, as you said, airs every Saturday at 1, replays again Sundays at 3. And The Backstory is about allowing people to hear the backstories of, initially, Avi, it started with Tavis saying, Michelle, because you are a writer, because you like reading, et cetera, would you do a show on the backstory of writers, whether they are authors of books or blogs or filmmakers, whatever, writers in any capacity? And I'm like, that's exciting. I love it. And then it evolved into, I wanted to just talk about any backstory that inspired me, because for me, it's about, I just love talking to people. I love storytelling. I love enjoying people tell their stories. So I have evolved the show into, how is your backstory working for you? Is your backstory propelling you forward, or is it keeping you standing still? Because as my audience, this is what I say to people every week, as you're listening to other people talk about how their backstory has propelled them forward, what does it remind you of? You know, think about the narrative in your own head. Is the narrative that you're telling yourself allowing you to think about, man, my life is amazing and I really came a long way? Or are you looking at your backstory and saying, you know, I've messed this up. There's no hope for me. I can't do it. So every week we get to hear from amazing people whose backstories are super inspiring, because we only see the story, that the person that we see now. So if I'm talking to Tabitha Brown, was on my show last year, we see Tabitha in all of her glory and becoming an Instagram influencer or an online influencer. But there's so much behind that story. You know, she was really sick before before. So the inspiration of how people move from where they were to where they are is what I want people to pay close attention to, because if God could do it for them, he can do it for you. And that's the goal of the show when we talk about the backstory. So I don't just want to hear you were born in Mississippi and you are the oldest of 5 siblings and your mom was a doctor. And I want people to hear how people evolved through their backstory and made a way sometimes out of no way.
And that's really interesting because it sounds like you're also talking about the way the mind works and the thought process, the thoughts that we have.
That's right.
Because we can see the same event in many different ways depending on our mindset, depending on how we see things.
That's right.
We can take an event and see it as an opportunity to grow.
Yeah.
We can take an event and see it as my life is over.
Yeah.
And so this is something that I think is a really important conversation to have.
Yeah.
Because how we think about things really can determine a lot about our future, our well-being.
Arthur Lynn Twist says we live in the story that we tell ourselves. And so the question for me every week is, what are you telling yourself? What are you telling yourself about your life, about your upbringing, about your parents? And I'll just use Michelle for an example. I'm a middle child. My 2 sisters, 2 years older, 2 years younger. And when my mother would get upset.
Directly in the middle,
right? When my mom would get upset, she'd say things like, she was sorry she had me, right?
Oh, Lord.
Right, yeah. She would say that. And for a long time, Avi, I used that as a way to say I wasn't supposed to be here. And I acted in a way that I wasn't supposed to be here. And so I made a lot of bad decisions. I hung out with all the wrong people. And at some point, I had to say to myself, because I met these 2 amazing women when I worked in Baltimore at school headquarters, and they used to say these beautiful complimentary things to me about my work, about how I presented myself. And I'm like, wow, this is the first time I really got complimented like this. And I was like, well, maybe my mom is wrong, that even if she thought I was a mistake or she didn't mean for me to be here, God had a better plan. And so I had to look at my backstory differently and stop living in the narrative of, maybe I am supposed to be here. Well, when she would say I'm not supposed to be, maybe God put me here for a bigger reason, and maybe, hey, maybe my mother didn't intend to get pregnant again, but maybe God said there's a place for Michelle in the world and there's a work that I want her to do. And when I grasped that and took a hold of that truth, life changed and everything changed. And after that, I was traveling around the world speaking to people about being great and being amazing. And it's just been amazing how my life turned out after I changed the narrative, about my backstory. So the backstory for me is so big.
It's everything.
It's everything.
And it's interesting that your mom said that she didn't mean to have you, but you were the middle child. You weren't the last child. So
exactly.
She said, I mean to have the last child as well. I wonder if she was told those same things. But it's your 100th episode this Saturday.
It is.
How have you grown in over the course of these 100 episodes? Thinking back to your first episode,
right?
Do you remember? I'm sure you remember your first episode.
Oh, do I? I was petrified. Now, here was the crazy thing, Avi. I did radio in Baltimore over 10 years ago. Oddly enough, at Morgan State University, 88.9. Every Woman was my show, and it was amazing. When Tavis, I did an interview with Tavis. Those who may not know the story, I write for Sweet Life SoCal magazine. I'm a contributing writer. I was assigned to do the story of Tavis launching this station a couple years ago, and I had the task of interviewing he and 5 other hosts who started out with the station. And when I was assigned the job, I'm thinking, who interviews Tavis? And what do you ask the guy that asks the best questions, right? So I am nervous. I had been following him for over 20 years.
Well, you can ask Tavis, how should I interview you?
Right. But
give me some questions.
Yeah, I was intimidated. To be honest, I was very intimidated.
Understandable.
And I almost said no to the job, but I prayed and I said, God, the same way you prepare me for everything else, you can prepare me for this. Interestingly enough, Avi, it was supposed to have been a 20-minute interview. It ended up being about 50 minutes. After the conversation, Tavis said, Michelle, you have a gift. And I didn't feel like I was interviewed by somebody I'd never met. I felt like I've been talking to a friend that I've known a long time. He said, and I hope that you will do something with this gift or continue to use it. in the world. And 6 weeks later, Tavis texted me and said, when I get off the air, I'm going to give you a call. And we talked, and he said, I've been thinking about what to do with you and how to use you, and I want to offer you your own show on KBLA. So just amazing, right? To work for the guy that I've admired and watched for so long. And he's been a mentor just in his journalist space as a national speaker, which I was blessed to do for over 30 years. He has helped me, just be more confident in that way. So when you talk about my first show on the air, October the 1st of 2021.
Wow.
I was terrified sitting here in the seat of Tavis Smiley. I think that's where I took it from. Like, I'm sitting in the same seat this guy sits in every week, every day. Mm-hmm. And I felt like I flopped on my first show. People said I did well. I was so nervous, Avi. Now, 199 shows in, I sit in that seat, and I'm just so excited every Saturday when I sit there. I'm having a ball. I'm excited to talk to my guests, and it feels just really, really good to have people sit across from you and trust you with their stories. And more often than not, people will say things to me like, Michelle, I had no intention of having this conversation with you, or I don't know how you got that out of me. But I love that my energy and spirit makes people feel warm and comfortable enough to have authentic conversations.
It does. Well, if I didn't hear your first show, but if you did indeed flop on your first show, you're not the only one. I definitely flopped on my first show on this station, and probably many others, not just on this station, but in other radio and TV appearances as well. So it happens. Yeah, but you're still here after 100 episodes, and you keep coming back. You keep learning, you grow.
Yes.
And we could have this conversation for another hour. I'm sure we're out of time for the day.
Yes.
At least for this hour.
But join me on Saturday. This Saturday, October the 7th at 1 p.m. It's not only my 100th show, it's also my 56th birthday. And so I'm excited about it.
Happy birthday, and congratulations on 100 shows.
Thank you.
Here on KBLA Talk 1580. It's the backstory every Saturday.
That's right.
Here on KBLA Talk 1580 at 1 p.m. Pacific, and then it replays again Sundays at 3 p.m.
That's right.
Michelle Duffy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's been a joy to be with you.
It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. When we come forward, we're going to have Keith Underwood, another one of our KBLA Saturday hosts, talk about his show, and we're going to talk about the writer's strike and the impact that's going to have on black people here in LA, as far at least writers, right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Welcome to our Wednesday. It's October 4th. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. An election for the new Speaker of the House is set to be held next Wednesday. Members leading the House GOP conference meeting said a candidate forum for Speaker will be held next Tuesday, with the election held the following day.